Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Tea Time with AuthorAID. This is a monthly community event of AuthorAID where scholars from all over the world join us to discuss on certain pertinent topics of scholarly community. And today we have Charles hosting this section for us. I hope all of us have grabbed our favorite drink and we will be chatting over our favorite drink. Today, we'll be talking about navigating travel grants for early career researchers for the research conference. And for this, we have Charles here. Before introducing our host and handing the session over to him, I'd like to briefly introduce you to some of our ground rules. The first one is this is a networking event, and unlike a typical webinar setting where there is unilateral flow of information, the lecture model, our Tea Time with AuthorAID thrives in multilateral discussion where all of us participate in the conversation. And we'd also like to suggest you to make full use of all of the interaction tools, for example, raising the hand feature or chat feature, during the course of 1 hour, where we'll be discussing about travel grants and the challenges and probable solutions. I'd also like to request everybody to mute themselves when they are not talking. And the final one would be if you face any difficulties, technical difficulties during the course of this session, you can directly text me or email me at astha.subedi@inaspinaps.org. Thank you so much, and I would like to request all of you to speak up and have a lot of learning in this session. And now, before handing it over to Charles, let me quickly introduce him. So Charles Kalinji, PhD, is a public sector procurement specialist and senior teaching fellow, strategic procurement and postdoc researcher in the field of purchasing and supply chain management at the University of Portsmouth, focusing on strategic procurement management, sustainability, and innovation procurement. He holds a PhD in public procurement from Macquarie University and MBA Management of Government Procurement from Maastricht School of Management, and Advanced Public Procurement Certificate from the International Development Law Organization, IDLO, a Purchasing Strategy Development Certificate from the United Nations Development Program, a Bachelor's of Science in Mathematics degree from Macquarie University, and a postgraduate diploma in education from Cambogo University, and several other professional certificates. Very impressive. He is a member of Chartered Institute of Procurement and Supply of United Kingdom, a member of Chartered Institute of Logistics and Transport, as well as certified procurement practitioner of the Institute of Procurement Professionals of Uganda. He has significant knowledge and experience with legal and institutional framework of public sector procurement and public sector procurement management, sustainable food procurement, social value creation, procurement performance measurement systems, and sustainability and innovation procurement. He is a beneficiary of several travel grants for summer schools and conference as a young doctoral researcher. Over to you, Charles. I hope we have so much of learning in the session, and thank you so much for hosting this for us. Everybody, let's welcome Charles. Over to you.
Okay, thank you so much for that wonderful introduction, and good evening, members, good afternoon, good morning, depending on where you are watching from. This is basically not a webinar per se, but it's just tea time, so you are free to grab your cup of coffee. For me, I'll grab water because it is a little bit hot here. And with tea time, just like the word suggests, we are basically sharing experiences, showing best practices, going through some of the personal experiences we have gone through, and we we do wish to share this with our young researchers, young doctor students who have just joined, so that they could also copy a leaf from what we have gone through, in case it is very useful. So I do welcome you to tea time discussion. This time round, we are looking at preparing your next conference. How do we tap into the travel awards and the grants? And my colleague has introduced me. So let me just a little, I share my slides again. Yes. So you have heard about myself. I'm just a young doctoral researcher from Makerere University, but I'm a member of several professional associations. I have attended a number of conferences, a number of doctor workshops from leading organizations. So I just wanted to share this kind of experiences I've gone through with like-minded people who are here today, and see whether we can learn from one another. And that's why I decided to organize this. We may, in the interest of time, we may not really have time to get to know one another, but I would have loved to really understand your experiences. Have you had a chance, an opportunity to apply for instance, a travel grant? Have you heard about a travel grant? Have you had an opportunity to apply for it? What were the results? What were the disappointments? What were the learning points? These are some of the things that I would wish to share. And most importantly, what are your expectations in um, today's discussion? So, well, like I've said, I would have loved to know who you are. What is your travel world experience, either during your PhD journey, if you are an early doctor researcher, maybe your research journey, or what has happened after your PhD journey. But most importantly, what did you go through during your PhD journey? You realize that when we talk about travel grants, workshops, conferences, this is one area which we get familiar with and get acquainted when we embark on our PhD. So most importantly, what are your expectations in today's presentation? Normally, we would wish to organize this kind of tea time with my other colleague, and then, I ask him questions, then we discuss, this kind of interaction. But so feel free to raise your hand, feel free to just unmute and then speak when I pose a question, so that we can have a smooth flow. Okay, I am going to follow this kind of presentation flow. First, getting ready for the travel award or grant. And the question I'm posing here is, how do you basically get ready for a travel grant in a typical research community? Searching for travel grant. So how do you search for a travel grant? Have you searched for a travel grant? What were the experiences, how you apply for travel grants, what kind of tips and techniques you go through, and sourcing for the travel grants. So this is what is going to guide our discussion. And I do believe that at the end of the day, once we go through all this, you'll have succeeded in not only securing a travel grant, but also being in position to apply and also successfully go through, being considered. Okay, to begin with, getting ready for a travel grant. I asked a very simple question at the very beginning. can I have maybe some contributions from people? Have you had a chance to participate in a travel award? Have you applied for a travel award? Have you read anywhere? Have you received an email for a travel award? Do you have any knowledge about travel award? Can we have some, maybe in the next 4 minutes, some contributions about personal experiences? Feel free to unmute yourself and speak. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, please. Hello. Yes, Mold.
Hello.
Yes.
An opportunity. And my name is Maulid, and I'm from Somalia, and I
Yes.
appreciate it for this wonderful. I appreciate it for this wonderful opportunity.
Yes.
Is everyone and is everyone have a chance to get to travel for there to get about the full cost for the travel for this wonderful conference, or some members can get for the guarantee? That's my question. Thank you very much.
Okay, he started by asking a question, is it for everybody? Basically, travel awards are actually for everyone who is interested. So in other words, there must be interest, there must be willingness to attend. And most importantly, you need to have something to admin, can you basically, a colleague who asked whether it's for everyone. Basically, travel awards are for everyone, for every researcher, as long as you have something to present, you have an idea, and you wish to present it to the audience, you are free to apply and be considered. So yes, I would say yes, you are free, unless you are limited by administrative procedures, but otherwise, travel awards would be entirely admissible to everyone.
Charles?
Yes.
This is Ludovico. I'm based in Uganda.
Okay.
I've been fortunate to be a recipient of about 2 travel awards.
Okay.
It's all from the conference. So I had submitted some abstracts.
Yes.
Then once they were accepted, they told us that there are opportunities for a travel award. So for both, actually, it was conference-based, but I had to have submitted an abstract to be considered for it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Ludovico, all the way from Uganda. Greetings, greetings, greetings. Okay, one point Ludovico has brought forward, like I said, that you need to have something to present to the audience. He has rightly said that he must have submitted an abstract, and once that abstract was considered, it was a precursor to applying for a travel award. Thank you for bringing that one forward. What's most important, like I said, that you need to have readiness. Do you have an abstract? Do you have, for instance, a poster? Do you have an idea? And what kind of presentation do you want? What does the travel award entail? Some travel awards are for poster presentations, or others are for abstract, and others are for paper presentations, as we shall later on see. But what's the most important is have an idea, get ready, and once there is this opportunity, you get a message, you get an email, or you search on the different platforms, please make an effort to read through and apply for this travel award. Thank you, Ludovic, for sharing your experiences. Can we have one more? Can we have one more? Anyone who is willing to share the experience? Yes, Sonuga. Sonuga, please. Hello.
Good morning,
Can
everyone.
I share mine?
Yes, please.
Good morning. Okay.
Good morning. Who is speaking? Akani, the one speaking, please go ahead.
Okay, I'm
And maybe
Shonuga.
after that one, son, yes.
Okay, so I'm from Nigeria, Lee City
Yes.
University, Nigeria.
Yes.
I've been opportune to go for one travel award.
Mm-hmm.
And what I noticed is that you must belong to a committee, probably an association, because they will ask for a letter of reference from an association. For example, if you are going for a travel grant with IFCC, International Federation of Clinical Chemists,
Yes.
you must belong to a national society in your country before they can approve you. So after submitting your abstract, you also must collect a letter from your national association. So one of the things that is necessary to prepare for a travel grant is to belong to a viable association that you can relate with. So there will be like a link. There will be like a link to the opportunity. Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for bringing that one out. As we shall later on say, normally these travel awards or grants would make them much more beneficial if you belong to an association or as someone rightly said, a committee, which committee can actually second you. Some of the travel awards can come on an individual basis, but most of them go through actually committees or associations. And you realize that most of these associations are actually industrial associations. For instance, as mentioned, the one which is, I think, to do with the clinic association or something. Yes, if the travel award goes through, for instance, an association, then you must certainly be part of that association, which can second you to benefit from this kind of travel award. Thank you for that contribution. And one more? Can we have one more?
Yes, sure. Thank you. This is Bravin Kumar from India.
Yes.
So in the year of 2014, I got a travel grant from the Chinese Academy of Sciences to travel to China to attend a week-long workshop. And I approached with the abstract, and also I submitted my CV. Along with that, I mentioned that I don't have enough fund to travel, and I requested them, why should I attend and what benefit I can get back to India if I come to the course. Then after a week-long time, I think they gave a positive response, and I went. But I wrote it very short and crisp, and then I got it. Thanks.
Oh, wow, that's very wonderful. That's very wonderful. In one of our discussions later on, we shall be looking at the best practices. What must you do? How do you prepare for these travel awards? And one way of preparing for these travel awards is really introducing yourself, being truthful to yourself. Can you introduce yourself fully? What are your competencies and what are you capable of achieving? And what do you expect to achieve with this kind of travel award? That is something we are going to discuss later on. Thank you so much for sharing that experience. So, okay, let's proceed. First, how do you get ready for travel awards in your research community? Basically, we have said that you need to be very ready. Do you have an idea? Do you have, for instance, an abstract? Have you prepared an abstract? Maybe later on we may have time to look at an abstract briefly. But what's important is readiness. Readiness to apply for this travel award, and also going through the kind of conditions or the rules and procedures for this travel award. If you realize that you meet these kind of rules, regulations, procedures, then please go ahead and apply. It is through such applications that we get to learn on how best you can be successful. So read the application scheme, ensure that the each and every information that has been put out there, you are familiar with it. One of our colleagues said that please ensure that you belong to industrial associations. It is important to belong to these associations, especially technical associations, because most of these travel awards go through these technical associations. Could be research associations, could be some kind of committees. But what's most important is that if, for instance, the travel awards go through this kind of committees or associations, you realize that some of the primary beneficiaries must be members of these committees. So regardless of your discipline, do you know the associations where you would belong? Have you applied for becoming a member of the association? Have you paid subscription? You know, in my introduction, although I didn't go through it, but you realize that I belong to a number of professional associations. I'm a member of Chartered Institute for Procurement and Supply. I'm a member of, for instance, the Institute of Procurement Professionals. I'm a member of Chartered Institute of Logistics and Transport. I'm a member of IPSORA, International Purchasing and Supply Education and Research Association. So once you belong to these different associations, you get to know people. Later on, we shall be looking at the power of the network. You get to know people, you interact with those ones who, I don't want to say those ones who matter, but those ones who take critical decisions in deciding these travel awards, especially for early career researchers. So please ensure that you look for your industry association. Some of our students, our PhD students, may not know at the very beginning, but you can liaise with your supervisors. If, for instance, you are doing a PhD in chemistry, what kind of leading associations, research associations are you familiar with? Have you registered? And most of these registrations actually give discounts to students, PhD students. Either some of them are free or some of them are basically subsidized. Subsidized, maybe £50, maybe 30 or $100, maybe lifetime kind of for the entire 4-year period or 3-year period. So please ensure that you look for these industry associations as early as possible and get to know who is who. There is one caption which I normally use, especially when I'm dealing with these industry associations, and colleagues, you may agree that this one might be useful. Take time to write to, for instance, get to know the chairperson. Take time to write to the chairperson. Just draft a simple email and say, hello, I am a young PhD student, maybe from Sub-Saharan Africa, and I've just heard about this technical or research association in chemistry, and I've just enrolled for my PhD in chemistry at this university, maybe in Nigeria, and I have read with keen interest what this association does and the kind of research interest that the association focuses on, and this is my core area of interest. So I would wish to become a member, but unfortunately, maybe I don't have resources to facilitate my subscription. How can I be helped? You know, when you draft this kind of carefully crafted emails and you send to the chairman, you never know. You can just automatically become a member by not even subscribing. And, you know, so these kind of opportunities are always there. The question is, how do you introduce yourself to those ones who matter in these kind of associations? And in most cases, when these kind of opportunities come, you are always at the forefront of being considered. So you thoroughly review the guidance on completing the application forms. For instance, those of you who have had a chance to participate in this, there are some kind of guidance that is normally put forward to guide you as you're applying for this travel grant. For instance, they can say you must be a PhD student in the first year of your study. So the question is yes or no. You must be an early career researcher. You must have completed your PhD. You must, you know, the question is, how would you fit in within all these different spectrums? You know, I remember there are several travel grants I received from Stellenbosch University with the African Doctoral Academy. African Doctoral Academy is based at Stellenbosch University in South Africa. And some of the conditions were you must have enrolled for your PhD. So the question is, if that's one of the conditions, have you enrolled for your PhD? Yes. You must be an early career researcher. Are you an early career researcher? You must be based in an African university. Are you based at an African university? So go through some of these ones. And in case you don't understand some of these, you liaise with your supervisors or someone you think can help you out. You know, sometimes we tend to lose out some of these opportunities because either we don't read or we just you only read one condition and say, I think this one I don't fall in this kind of bracket, and therefore you fall off. No, please go through. And sometimes even when you fall off, you can always write to them and say, hello, thank you for advertising for this kind of travel grant. I have read with keen interest this kind of travel grant. I noticed that some of the conditions that are presented indicate that you must have enrolled maybe for a PhD at an African university. Yes, I've enrolled for the PhD at an African university, but I'm still waiting for my admission letter. Can I be considered in the process of waiting for my admissions letter? And once I get my admission letter, I'll be glad to forward it to you for consideration. I mean, you tell them truthfully the state of affairs on your side. Say that even when you don't meet these kind of conditions, you can go ahead and apply. You know, sometimes they can always adjust. Some of these conditions are put there, but they're a little bit flexible, so they can always relax some of these conditions. It's a matter of organizing your mental faculties very well, and then talk to them nicely and see what comes out of them. And that's what I've always done. Anyone who would wish to contribute to that beyond what I've said? Okay, we shall maybe come back to that. And then the second question I would wish to pose is searching for travel grant. How would you search for travel grant? And where do you search for travel grant? One, from the discussions we have so far had, one, we have said that you need to really belong to a given kind of network, you know, and at the same material time, you need to ask yourself, do you belong to any network? You know, in the academic circles, do you belong to any network? That is the one question you need to ask yourself. You are doing a PhD in psychology. Are you a member of any psychology association? Whether it is back home, are you a member of psychology association in Nigeria? Are you a member of the regional psychology association in West Africa? Are you a member of International Psychology Association? Do you even know its website? You know, these are some of the, so the power of connections, you know, here we are talking about the power of connections. And sometimes during our career journey, we tend to review literature. During the process of reviewing literature, what kind of lessons do we learn from literature? Of course, these are things that are not normally discussed and asked. But you know, when you are reviewing literature, first of all, you read the papers leading authors have written, leading authors in the discipline have written. You need to understand, where do they publish those kind of their kind of research? They either publish with the just a second. My co-host, are you there? Can you constantly admit the new members? I can see quite a number of them joining. You can help me admit them. I was saying,
Yeah.
yes, I was
Hi,
saying that
there is nobody there to admit.
yes, I have been admitting them constantly here.
Okay.
Yes, but you can help me take on that role. So I was saying that once you get enrolled or once you get registered in for a PhD, please take time to understand some of the critical associations, especially in your discipline. Get to know what are the local associations, research associations, or professional associations. Why? Because some of these kind of travel awards, conference, grants, whatnot, come through this kind of industry associations. So the power of connections is very important. Start with your local association, your regional association, your international associations, because these associations sometimes organize the doctoral workshops. I remember when I was doing a PhD, when I'd just registered, I think I attended around 3 doctoral workshops in Europe. And why? Because I first of all know the international associations that organize these doctoral workshops. And I have also talked to the people on these committees. So I simply write to them and introduce myself to them and tell them that I understand that you're organizing this doctor workshop. This is the stage at which I have so far progressed towards my PhD journey. Would you consider giving me an opportunity to share my research, because, and interact with leading experts in the field? Just carefully introduce yourself to them, even when these calls have not been gone out. As long as you get an opportunity to come across this information, please make an effort to write to them. You never know. You can always be given a second chance. So where do you search? Associations, professional associations. How do you search? How do you search? This is a very interesting question that also deserves some kind of attention. Searching for travel awards, grants, besides becoming a member of these kind of associations, there are also other potential sites that are useful when it comes to these travel awards and the grants. For instance, and it also relates to the power of connections. It's recommended that the moment you enroll for a PhD, you open up accounts, especially on research websites that bring together all the educations. For instance, one of them is LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a known website that brings together academics throughout the world. And here you'll find most of the universities, most of the business schools, most of the leading academicians all over the world having accounts there. So once you register, you look for some of these names. When you read a paper, for instance, and you notice that the paper has been authored by Charles Kalinzi, do you know where, for instance, Charles Kalinzi works? Do you know the journal where he publishes his paper? Can you take an effort to find out whether this journal organizes doctor workshops? Where and when does this journal organize doctor workshop? Is this journal linked to a professional association? These are some of the questions you need to start asking. Can you make an effort to go to, for instance, a LinkedIn site or ResearchGate and search this kind of person? Can you start following this kind of person? Because when you start following these people, you are professionally growing your network. I sometimes get surprised. Most of our young researchers don't have these professional websites. And these days, it's one of the ways of introducing yourself. Once you introduce yourself as Charles Kalinzi, the next person, someone says the same way, one would ask for maybe your Instagram account, or in the professional circles or in the academic circles, they normally ask, for instance, the LinkedIn site, because your LinkedIn account shows every detail about yourself, where you are studying, the level of progress, whether you are presented at maybe a conference or at a workshop. And please, when you get an opportunity to present in a workshop or a conference, get to know where and when the next conference will take place and what kind of opportunities will be available in that kind of next conference. We shall come back to that later on. And then the third question is applying for travel grants. How do you apply for travel grants? We earlier on had someone from, I think, Uganda, who has attended the two conferences. Can I first solicit for ideas in the next 4 minutes to hear how people apply for these travel grants? We had one from, I think, India who applied and was considered. Can we have some contributions on how would you wish to apply for travel grants? Just unmute and speak. Do we have some ideas?
So, Charles, it's Ludovic again.
Yes, Ludovic.
If I may have a go at it. So the latest travel grant was to Germany. So
Yes.
there is a group of researchers that are in the same field like us in Uganda, because I work at the Medical Research Council in Entebbe. So this particular group was thinking about refining. They had organized a workshop where they are thinking, getting inputs from other colleagues doing similar work.
Yes.
So being that we had done similar work to theirs, they actually put forward a request to our group to send a representative there. So within our group, that's how I got that opportunity to lead. So that was more of an invite to come share what we do so that we compare notes with this other group in Germany. Then the other instance of the conference was just straightforward. The conference advertises for abstracts. You put in, they give you. Then after giving you, they alert you that you have an opportunity to apply for a travel grant.
Okay.
Yes. Over.
Thank you for those experiences. Thank you. Thank you so much. Can we have more 3 people to share their experiences on how they have applied for travel grants, regardless of whether you have gone through or not gone through? Just unmute and speak. Hello, just unmute and speak. Just unmute and speak. Hello, anyone to share experience? Okay, as you are still thinking through, you have all applied. I am making an assumption that whoever is here is either a PhD student or is an early career researcher, and you have made an application in one way or the other. And sometimes we have made applications, especially these days, online applications, where you are systematically taken through each of the steps, you know. Number 1, your name, your university. Number 2, unlike those clearly formatted applications, when it comes to travel grants and awards, it's a little bit different. And what creates the difference is the level of creativity, especially when it comes to writing the cover letter or the expression of interest. Sometimes it's called expression of interest, sometimes the cover letter. So it's important that you organize your mental faculties very well when you are applying for this travel grant, especially when it comes to writing a cover letter. A cover letter is one that introduces yourself to, it introduces you to the people who are organizing, who are managing these travel grants. I have quite often used the opportunity of being by then a sub-Saharan student, that's 1, a PhD student, that's 2, and an early career researcher, 3, to leverage on the benefits of and also giving way, creating an opportunity to really benefit from these travel awards and grants. So normally, we are going to look at the tips and techniques. 1 is responding to these applications. Carefully read each and every detail and pay attention to minor details when you are responding to these travel awards and grants. Like I've said, there is no really good structure of these applications, and that's why it's important to really introduce yourself very nicely. How have I introduced myself previously? Because I have benefited from around, I think I had around 15 travel awards and grants during my PhD. And I remember when I was doing my PhD at my university, people were saying that I am always on the flight. But the question is, I learned the tips and techniques early enough. The first travel award that I applied for, I was not successful. And when the results came out, I had an opportunity to write to them, thanking them for taking their time to review my application. And What made it very different is that I went an extra mile of asking them why I was not successful. And I told them that I wanted to use that kind of loophole to continuously improve my applications in the future. And I received a detailed response. And believe me, I have been entirely depending on that response throughout my career. And that one opened up very many doors. So in other words, do you know the weaknesses when you're drafting some of your letters? We may not really have the time to go through some of these, but a simple structure. Introduce yourself. I am Charles Kalinzi. I am a PhD student at an African university, and I've just enrolled in this particular field. And I am aware that, this award relates to this and this that has been organized by experts in my field. And really, I'm looking at this as an opportunity to interact with the experts beyond my university and, getting first-hand information and up-to-date techniques of handling this within my particular field. I understand some of your latest research relates to this, and this is the area I'm also focusing on. I look forward to, you are organizing your ideas very well. Introduce yourself. Who are you? That's 1. 2, why are you applying for this travel grant? That's 2. 3, what do you intend to learn from this travel grant? And 4, how do you intend to apply what you have learned to either your university or to further improve your studies at your university? Once you know all of these, once you structure your application using this kind of titles, then you have hit a jackpot. Introduce yourself. Who are you? Where are you studying from? In which field have you are you studying? Why are you applying for this travel grant? What are you focusing on? If the travel grant is about, for instance, data analysis, tell them that, you have just been reading about all these techniques of data analysis in books, and you are now getting an opportunity to discuss this with the leading scholars of these books, or you are looking at the latest trends from the various publishers who have published books about this data analysis. In one of the recent workshops we had, one of the authors, those of you who for instance, data analysis who use the smart PLS, you must be familiar with the those of you who use smart PLS, structure equation modeling, you must be familiar with the guys like, for instance, Hayes, Hare, John F. Hare, Christian Lingo, Marcus Sasdev. These are the guys behind the smart PLS, structure equation modeling. And the guy introduced himself as I am the Hare in the Hare et al. Of smart PLS, structure equation modeling. If you get an opportunity to hear from the experts, to hear from the leading scholars, to hear from the authors of these, data analysis techniques, how would you feel? Tell them that, I understand that, I have gone through the list of those ones who are going to speak to us, and you notice that one of them or two are the ones responsible for crafting this kind of data analysis technique, and you are looking for the opportunity to hear from them and also get a chance to ask them questions. Tell them why you are interested in applying for this travel grant. 3, how do you intend to utilize the knowledge you have acquired? For instance, if it is a data analysis conference, have you reached the level of data analysis stage during your PhD journey? Have you started your data analysis stage? Are you concentrating on, for instance, quantitative data or qualitative data? And is the research workshop for qualitative data or quantitative data? These are some of the issues. In one of the travel grants I got was to do with the Atlas TI. They were introducing Atlas TI. Atlas here is one of the new softwares for qualitative analysis. And I remember by then I was only familiar with the quantitative analysis. And I kept hearing, qualitative analysis, ideas. And when I saw this, advert about Atlas CI, as a software for qualitative data analysis, I became curious. And I wrote to them. I told them that, well, I am primarily a quantitative data analyst, but my PhD also requires me to gather opinions from the people, to integrate them and have data triangulation. And by introducing me, for instance, qualitative data analysis for the very first time, I believe I will immensely utilize this kind of opportunity to integrate, first of all, to learn, to use the technique, and also integrate how best I can analyze, for instance, my interviews in order to integrate both quantitative and qualitative data. And it will help me publish papers in peer-reviewed journals. So introduce yourself, tell them why you're applying, how you intend to learn, and most importantly, how are you going to utilize the knowledge either to advance your PhD journey and also the universe at large. I used to tell them, and these are some of the phrases that used to capture their attention, that, once I get an opportunity to benefit from this, I will not only utilize it as an individual, but I'm also going to mobilize my fellow PhD students, and we form an association to start introducing this to other PhD students and also teach them how we can use this kind of new data analysis technique to the rest of the students to appreciate it and also expand the knowledge across the sub-Saharan Africa, so that students can start using this and appreciate this new technique of data analysis. So it shows that you are not only the person benefiting from this kind of grant, but also it will have an after effect. In other words, you are not only focusing on the output, but also the outcome and the impact. So think through along those lines. Who are you? Why are you applying? What do you intend to gain? And how will you utilize the knowledge to the betterment of your PhD journey and also to the university at large? So that's how we respond to applications. I've looked at the structuring of the applications, application responses, never cease to utilize the opportunity to apply to as many as you wish. Anything that comes your way, as long as you realize that it is within your area of interest, please go ahead and apply and see what. Go ahead and apply and see what comes out. Go ahead and apply and see what comes out. You never know. Anything fruitful might be great. The proper grant is sent sometimes through field of study. How about proper grant in food science and nutrition? Someone is asking a very interesting question. How about grant in food science? Well, we all belong to different disciplines. You belong to science. I belong to procurement. Someone else belongs to. So, like I said in the very beginning, please register with your discipline association. If you are a PhD student studying, for instance, industrial chemistry, do you know any, for instance, 6 industrial associations in chemistry? Do you know international leading associations in chemistry in your discipline? If yes, well and good. If no, then you haven't reached the stage of what we are talking about here, and it will take you some time to benefit from this. If you are, for instance, a student of statistics and economics, do you know the leading associations? Are you a member of either the Statistical Society of your country or the Regional Statistical Society within your region? Do you know the International Statistical Society? How does it organize, for instance, conferences? When is the next conference and where? All this information must be at your fingertips. Who are the leading scholars within your discipline? Sometimes I belong to a number of chats, and you know, a PhD student says, he sends a message and says, hello, can you help me with research objectives? And sometimes, you know, when you belong to these international associations, all of these kind of challenges are normally sorted within those industrial circles, because you are able to interact with your peers within your discipline, and they are able to help you out, or you are in position to follow how others are doing this similar kind of technique, and eventually they will see you through. And colleagues, lastly, number 4, sourcing for travel words. How do you source for travel words? You know, I have earlier on talked about the power of social connections. I am a member of, for instance, LinkedIn. What are you doing? Why don't you open a LinkedIn account? How can you be a researcher? How can you be a PhD student and you don't have a LinkedIn account? Does it sound strange? You know, how do you interact with the other scholars in your field? How many professors do you know within your field, apart from those ones teaching you, apart from those ones supervising you? You know, expand your horizon. This is what we are talking about, you know. The power of connections brings you to closer to those people who matter in your discipline. If you are, for instance, in my field as a procurement expert, do you know the leading scholars in procurement? Do you know the latest books published in procurement? Do you know the latest trends in procurement? Do you know the current debate in procurement? You know, when we are analyzing literature, there are different forms of analysis of literature. The purpose is to contribute to the current debate in literature. How do you contribute to the current debate if you don't know the debate that is going on in literature? And if you understand the debate, you can decide whether you are continuing with the same debate, what we call progressive coherency, or synthesized coherency, or non-coherence. You know, are they going positive and you are going negative? Are you adding an extra mile, an extra block? You know, this is how we identify gaps. So, power of social connections. If you want to get to leading scholars, you must understand where they gather. And these leading scholars actually gather on, for instance, LinkedIn and others on ResearchGate. And sometimes we use these avenues to write to them. Rarely they use X or Twitter, but mostly on LinkedIn and ResearchGate. And please, fellow younger scholars, find time, open up a LinkedIn account, you know, just research chemistry association, if you belong to chemistry, or psychology association, and then it'll bring you all of these associations because they have LinkedIn accounts. Subscribe, not in terms of paying, but become a member, follow them, so that whatever posts they post there, whatever post that appears on their page, you are in a position to follow. Most of these travel grants and conferences actually advertised on LinkedIn before even they appear on their website. And this is also a non-formal communication. Most of, for instance, the posts, most of the opportunities, especially in research, in teaching, conference, workshops, doctoral workshops, are advertised on LinkedIn. You know, these leading professors just post, I am looking for a PhD student in this field. We are soon organizing a doctoral workshop. Please encourage your members to attend. And that's why for us who have been here for some time, we just keep posting this, you know, so that all those ones who might have opportunities can apply. So you get fresh information about Dr. Workshop. If you're a member, for instance, this LinkedIn conference presentations, they are all advertised on LinkedIn, whether it is poster presentation, whether it is conference, whether it is Dr. Workshop, and the latest trends, which I didn't, I'd actually forgotten to add here. I can just add it here. Webinar, you know, the latest trend is webinar. If you're a PhD student and you have not attended for instance, or you don't attend webinars, how do you get fresh ideas? You know, How do you get fresh ideas? These are some of the questions you need to ask yourselves. You must speak to your supervisors to constantly encourage you to attend webinars. If you are, for instance, doing research in my friend Rodovico, I don't remember his research, but the fact that he went to Germany must be in a science field. If you are doing, for instance, research in industrial chemistry, you look for webinars in industrial chemistry. You know, if you are doing research in psychology, look for webinars in psychology. If you are doing research in statistics, you know, look for webinars organized by those statistical associations, statistical entities within your country, attend, you know, hear what they are saying. From what they are saying, you can always get fresh ideas. And that's why when you are a PhD student, it is believed that you are much sharper, in the quotes, than your supervisors. Why? Because you are always fresh in terms of ideas. You attend webinars, you attend workshops, you hear what leading scholars are presenting on the latest trends. Sometimes some of us speak topics which I don't want to say outdated, but which are over-researched, you know. Impact of training on organizational performance. Really, you cannot go to a webinar presently and people are talking about the impact of training on organizational performance. No. That research ended in 1978. I mean, where do we get fresh ideas? So by attending webinars, you get fresh ideas. So get motivated to attend webinars, workshops, industrial presentations, where you can constantly refresh your minds. So other opportunities, for instance, research associations. There are others, for instance, Social Science Research Council, SSRC, AuthorAID website. How many, for instance, are familiar with some of these? SSRC, Social Science Research Council, AuthorAID website. When you go to AuthorAID website, for instance, where I am one of the stewards and also a mentor, we advertise the research grants. There is actually a page dedicated for research grants in different fields. One of the people asked, where do I get research grants in the field of nutrition? You know, when you go to, for instance, AuthorAID website, you find travel awards, conferences from different disciplines. So I implore you to explore these different websites. So I know I have gone beyond the time by maybe 5 minutes, but allow me to stop there. Any burning questions? Do you have issues? Let me see information in the chat. My name is Wanje Bota JJ Jr. and I am a plant breeder from Liberia. I'm interested in networking with anyone. I am looking for a PhD opportunity in plant breeding. Woje Baba Jr., if you're interested in networking on the AuthorAID website, I advise you to visit AuthorAID website and apply to be a mentee. When you apply to be a mentee, we can always receive your application and we pair you with a person of your interest. Okay, I think there are no other. I am a PhD student in health systems. Travel grants can be master students. Yes. Oh, yes. Travel grants can also be for master students as well. Thank you. Okay. Thank you so much for this insightful presentation. Yes. Yes, the host has put the link for AuthorAID. Please, you can click on that link to take you to the website and then you read through and see what happens there. I will allow some 3 people to speak. Either you are free to add on what I've said, you are free to counteract, you are free to subtract, but you are free to share ideas. The tea time is about sharing ideas. It's not really a webinar, but I would have loved really interacting with everyone in the interest of time, but time is not enough. But I will also realizing that I'm seeing 74 people attending this, realizing that it is generating interest, I can speak to my people and see whether we can organize, for instance, a webinar in this. And in that webinar, I'll now be presenting fully. Here, I just wanted some kind of, just to tease your mind. It is your curiosity, you know, generate some kind of interest, generate some enthusiasm, you know. When you hear how others are doing it, do you, for instance, also pick interest and you want to do it the same way, you know? Challenges, best practices, you know, I've talked about capacity to collaborate. Where do you belong? You know, this is a question I have addressed fully. You must belong to professional associations, industrial associations, best practices, understanding rules, consult, write for clarifications, follow timelines, you know. So what is the way forward? I now want to hear the way forward as I conclude. What have you learned from today's tea time? That's what I'm asking. What is the way forward? Has today's presentation tickled you? Do you feel you have been challenged? Do you feel there is something missing in your PhD journey? Do you think there is something missing in your research journey? You are familiar with research gaps. Have I addressed travel grant gaps or award gaps in your journey? You know, these are some of the questions that must be lingering around in your mind. Yes, Morut. Morfat. Unmute and speak.
All right, thank you very much, Professor Charles. I'm Magfatul Watusinyalaitan. I don't know if you can hear me properly.
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, thank you very much. I'm Magfatul Watusinyalaitan, as I said earlier on, a lecturer and researcher at University of Nigeria, Abuja.
Okay.
So I just need I don't know if I should call it a question or a clarification regarding this travel grants and conference.
Yes.
Must the abstracts be research work, I mean, experimental work, or it could be something like, you know, like systematic review methodologies. For example, we've been emphasizing on Southern Africa. So in my team, usually we do something like a systematic review meta-analysis, trying to look into, you know, thousands of people from Sub-Saharan Africa regarding health. So we have some of these people. So I just want to know, as in to affirm that must someone really seeking for travel grant or conference, you know, scholarship or sponsorship, be from experimental work, or is okay with what I've asked, as in the meta-analysis systematic review? I don't know if I'm clear enough.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. First, I will have maybe two answers to your question. First, an abstract is basically a summary of either what you intend to do as part of your research journey, meaning that you are giving an overview of the kind of research you intend to do, or it can be an abstract of a completed kind of research. You have done your research, you have completed it, and you are writing not an executive summary, but a compressed summary of around, that's why abstracts are normally 150 words. As a person who is seeking for travel awards, I wouldn't really advise you to venture into systematic review as of course, this is always our starting point. But yes, you can organize your ideas from, for instance, systematic meta-analysis, especially in your field, and you explain how you are going to do it. But you know, an abstract must show what makes your research different, you know. And in most cases, this is systematic review abstracts don't really bring out that element because you are reviewing what previous scholars have done. It can be a simple paper, and I really have a feeling that if you are presenting, for instance, if you present an abstract on systematic review, which you intend to use to participate in travel, because these are competitive grants, you know, travel awards are competitive. Competition is based on how knowledgeable or how interactive or how curious your research is likely to be. What kind of new issue are you investigating? And you know, in a systematic meta-analysis, there might not really be something very new because you are just looking for ways of identifying the gap, you know. You are just systematically looking at what other previous scholars have done. But it's always good as a starting paper, but I am afraid it might not be used substantially to compete favorably to win a travel grant, because it is a competition. Several students submit their abstracts, and they are looking at that element of novelty. I can see my host is showing up, meaning that it is time.
Yes,
Subedi,
it's time now.
Yes, sorry, colleagues, those ones who had raised up the hands in the interest of time. I know this might be very interesting, but we shall see whether we can organize a webinar next time, and then we get an opportunity to advance this kind of discussion further. This was just beginning. So over to you, Esther. Thank you so much for whoever has managed to attend, and look forward to hearing from you again. Thank you.
Hi, thank you so much, Charles, for very insightful tea time with AuthorAID, and thank you so much, everybody, for actively participating. While we understand that you would like to learn more, we are also very much mindful of the time limitation that we have. We are so sorry. We're already 15 minutes over time. Thank you so much for staying through and participating in this conversation. Charles and I have briefly talked about the possibility of organizing webinar along the same line. And we have the events coming up, webinar on the open science next month, September. I have also dropped a few links. If you could see your chat box, you'll see a lot of links there. There is link to AuthorAID website where you will find many resources that might come handy to you in your scholarly journey. You can also sign up in the website and access other features. We are active on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, where you can follow us and get updates about our work. We are also on LinkedIn. You should just type AuthorAID and you'll find us there. I forgot to mention it here. You can go to our website and access the blogs, contribute the blogs, your opinions, your experiences, your research, anything really. So there is a link there. You can find a mentee or you can be a mentee, be a mentor. From the AuthorAID website, you can find the link there. Charles was mentioning about it. You can also be the part of our Google group where everybody is sharing the opportunities and information about the scholarly field. You can also stay connected with us there. So we have a tradition that we take a picture at the end of the program. So if you are comfortable, please turn on your video and we can take a nice picture.
Good. Let me even stop sharing and
okay, so I can see a few many people. Okay, so we'll also send you the recording and all the resources along with the links, but stay connected with us and join us for our other program. And yeah, is this all? Are we still waiting for people to turn on the camera, or we'll also be posting you on social media? So if you are not comfortable, please, it's all right if you don't want to. Okay, so I'll take a picture. So everybody smile. Or like some expression when you remember that it's the weekend. Okay, everybody's smiling so much right now. I can see that. Some fun expressions, something fun, something very jolly, joyous. Okay, I can see Vishal giving the thumb. Anybody else? Is that all the creativity we have in the room? Okay. Okay, I can see some creativity. Okay, so I've taken a picture. I'll move on to next slide. And we also, okay, thank you so much everybody for joining in, and thank you so much Charles for wonderfully hosting today's tea time with AuthorAID. I hope all of you had massive learning. You can also access our other resources from the YouTube, where we have been uploading our recordings of previous sessions repeatedly, very frequently, and stay connected with us. Let us know what you want us to do. You can text us, you can email us, and we'll organize the session as per your needs. Thank you so much for joining in. Bye-bye. I think I'll end the meeting now. See you soon.
Yeah, bye.
Thank you, Charles. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye, bye, bye.
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 Okay, bye-bye.
Have a great weekend, everybody. Bye-bye.
You too, bye.